Hi, we're going to talk about DIY e-liquid flavorings. You can get a lot of flavorings from Perfumer's Apprentice, and I have plenty of those. However, you end up using sometimes really high percentages to get the flavor that you want, and they can be really temperamental. So I decided to get some super concentrates. I got them from two different brands, and there's some I like from each line, and I'm going to share them with you now. First, I'm going to talk about VapingZone. VapingZone has a super concentrated line with many different flavors, some of which I still want to try, but so far I only have 3, and they're all cigarette, cigar flavors, because those are my favorite types. So, I'm going to start off with cigar flavoring. As far as I know, because they do have one that's similar that I really wanted to try, and it's called Black Cigar. It's supposed to be very similar to the Black and Mild cigars, which I used to smoke, so I was really interested in trying them until I read reviews on it. According to the reviews, and I could probably really attest to what they're saying, because basically cigar flavoring is supposed to be just like Black Cigar, but with less of a chocolate note to it. That's why I didn't get the Black Cigar, is because it's supposed to have a somewhat strong chocolate note. And I like chocolate in its natural form, but I don't like chocolate flavoring. I think, for the most part, it's foul. However, the cigar flavoring still has a chocolate note, but I find it enjoyable, and it's not off-putting, and it's not too strong. I definitely get the cigar flavor, like the essence of a cigar, in it. I use it at 2%. Most of these are recommended to start at 2.5%, which is pretty low considering most other flavorings I've tried are around 10%. Some lower, some more, but usually around 10% for any other flavorings I've tried. So, you know, this little, I think this is a 6 milliliter bottle, is gonna last me a long time. Like, I've made several batches of this cigar, and there's not much missing. So, you know, I made I think it was a 30 mil batch of it, which is ridiculous for me, because I usually only do like 5 to 10 milliliter bottles of e-liquid, but I really like the cigar, and it doesn't need to steep, but it gets better as it steeps. Basically, the cigar part of it enhances as it sits, and the chocolate, it's a little bit muted and not, I don't know, it's more of a background flavor, and the cigar comes out more. Because with a lot of cigarette type vapes, they have to sit. Something about the tobacco that needs to sit a while before it really comes through. And it's definitely true about the cigar, but of the 3, it's the most vapeable right away. The second one I'm going to talk about is Carolina Tobacco. And this is, again, one that's supposed to be at 2.5%. And it even says right on the label, which is nice. Most, you know, flavorings don't say that. I think I do all these at 2%. I do direct drip for a lot of my, you know, vaping. I also have a Cardo tank, which is here. But another thing to note is that I also don't use nicotine. And nicotine, from what I've been told, changes the flavor. And it can even, I don't know if it diminishes it or what, but I don't know. I just find that I like most flavorings a little bit less percentage than like other people, especially people that use nicotine. And when you direct drip, your flavors are already more pronounced because there's no medium to it, or there's, you know, the least amount of medium in between you and your flavor. So Carolina Tobacco, it's good, but right away I don't like it. Like, I tried vaping it. I always test my flavors right away after a hot water bath. And then, I don't know, basically my process is I use PG and VG. More VG than PG. It's like a 60-40 usually, because I like the vapor production that the VG gives. It also gives a little bit of sweetness. And the PG, for me, and people might argue, it's a good flavor carrier as far as I'm concerned, and it's supposed to help with the throat hit. So I use a 60-40 blend, and then I add my flavoring, which in this case would be 2.5 of the total volume of whatever I'm making. Then after I mix it, I shake it, and then I put it in a warm water bath. And I let it sit for a while, basically until the water becomes room temperature or cold, and then I remove the e-liquid. Sometimes I'll do the water bath multiple times. It depends on if I'm mixing other liquids along with it. Like basically I keep the hot water going through the duration of my mixtures. So one mix might have like 3 baths, one might only have 1. It just depends. After the last batch of water is cool, I'll remove the e-liquids, and then I let them get to room temperature before vaping them, like testing them out. Most flavoring, or I wouldn't say most, some flavorings are good right away. The tobaccos and other flavorings need to sit a while to, I don't know, there's some with the molecules that need to like disperse, and I don't know, just they're better aged, I don't know. Carolina tobacco is one. It takes at least a week for me. I mean, it's not horrible when you first try it. It's just a little bit too sweet for me. But as it sits, more of the tobacco comes out. And I like tobacco vapes. They're my favorite type of vape. So I want a pronounced, tobacco note. And it is really good after it steeps. The current one, which I have in my tank, is the Carolina tobacco steeped at, I think, 2 weeks. And it also has a little bit of Parliament in it, which is actually the next flavor I'm going to talk about. And it's really good. So I'm going to show you what it vapes like. I don't really know that it matters, but it's nice. I found that on its own, it's still a little bit too sweet for me. That's why I added the Parliament, which I'm going to talk about now. I have the Parliament right here. It's like a light gold color. Parliament is a brand of cigarettes. If you didn't know, I actually used to smoke Parliaments. Back when I used to smoke, I think I started out at Newports, which, thinking back, I don't know how the heck I could have smoked them because they were foul. Then next I tried some, I think they're called Cools. I don't know, it was a long time ago. I might have done one other menthol cigarette before switching to regulars, and then I smoked Parliaments, I smoked Marlboro Lights, and then I think the last time I smoked, which was several years ago, I think 5 or 6 years ago, I was rolling my own, which would be like any tobacco I'd see at the tobacco store. It really didn't matter much to me. I never really got too much into that, but I'd roll my own. So just gives you a little bit of background of like the types of tobacco I like, I guess. Parliament is really nice, actually. It's also one that needs to sit. Initially, the first time I tried this, I didn't like it. But I know from experience that tobaccos usually take time. And I also bought another additive that helped it along, I think, which I'll get to in a little bit. But after 2 weeks, it's vapeable, and I don't know, let me see. Okay, the next one is Carolina tobacco, and this one, right away, I don't think is very good at all. It's not horrible, but it's just not very good. It actually requires steeping, which is just letting it sit. Like this batch is from 5/19. Right now it's 6/5, June 5th. So we're talking 2 to 3 weeks of it just sitting. And it's really good now. I also added something to it which might have helped it along with the flavor and all that. but we're not at that point yet. It's a very sweet tobacco flavor. To me, it's actually a little too sweet. I actually had to add some Parliament flavoring to it for me to actually not like it, because I liked it as it was, but for it to be the right taste, like for it to be better, like the best that I've been able to make it, basically. So basically, to me, Carolina tobacco would be a good blending flavor for me personally. I like my tobaccos not to be too sweet. I like them kind of in between and kind of on the drier end. This is a little bit just too sweet, but mixed with Parliament, which is a little bit more dry, less sweet, just like a pure tobacco type taste, flavor, whatever. It's really good. I only added like, I think 3 drops of the Parliament to this 6 milliliter bottle. So it's definitely predominantly still Carolina tobacco, but the Parliament just helps it be less sweet and a little bit more tobacco. So the next flavor is Parliament, which is actually a cigarette brand that I used to smoke when I smoked, and it's like a light gold color. I think more of the tobacco, like the traditional tobacco flavors, tend to be that golden color, and then like the more cigar-y sweet colors tend to be like an amber or a brown color. So I don't really know how true that is, but that's what I've seen or observed personally. So Parliament is again among the same lines as Carolina tobacco. It takes a long time to steep. I made both of these in the same day. Like this one's from 5/18, it looks like. The label's kind of worn off, but it's taken that long to develop to, you know, a really good flavor. And it is a really good flavor, and it's a good blender as well. It mixes very well with other tobaccos and cigar type flavors. So I really like all 3 of them, and I would repurchase Parliament and Cigar. I'm actually going to, because like I'm sure these flavors are going to last me a long time, because I don't vape, like I'm not a chain vapor unless my dad, I'm able to get him to start vaping. These will probably last me a long time. But yeah, so I don't know that I'll be repurchasing anytime soon, only because there's still so many other flavors that, and other brands that I'd like to try, but I would repurchase them. Like, I think they're a good flavor. All except Carolina tobacco, only because it's just a little too sweet for me, and I prefer the other ones better. The next 2 are from VapingZone, but they're from their regular concentrated line, which is also it's still a concentrate, which means it's going to be stronger than a regular flavoring, but it's not the super concentrate, because like VapingZone has like 3 degrees of flavor. They have the regular concentrate, then the super concentrates, and then they also have gourmet concentrates, which the gourmet flavors are really, 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 really strong. Like most of them are recommended at 1%. I haven't gotten any yet because they're the most expensive from the line, and since I never tried VapingZone before, I wanted to just start with a couple before I like put a bunch of money into it. And the super concentrates are $5.99 and up. Some of them are only available in 10 mils, and they're a little bit more expensive. Like, I forget exactly how much. I think maybe $7.99 or $6, I don't know. I'll put the link below. But the ones I got were all, you know, 6 mil. So they were the cheaper of, you know, the 2. The regular concentrates, I believe, are like $3.99, and I got 2 flavors. I got Vanilla Swirl, which is this one, and Peanut Butter Flavoring, which is this one. And these also have the flavor percentage recommendations, which is nice. I didn't even notice that. It says recommended at the percentage from 5 to 20%. So that's nice. Like, I don't, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm still a perfumer's apprentice fan. Like, they have a lot of good flavors in my opinion, but they don't put their percentage recommendations or whatever on the packaging, which would make it a lot easier. I can probably understand because it probably varies a lot between person to person, but it's just nice. I guess all of these are 5 to 20%. I don't know if I like this yet. It's definitely a blender flavor. I don't know that I would, you know, vape it by itself. Well, definitely don't vape it by itself, but I don't know that I would use it as a standalone flavor. It's just not pronounced enough. It's not diverse enough. It's just a very kind of plain flavor. Peanut butter, I'm, again, not sure about. I've tried several different peanut butter flavorings, including the all-coveted Cabela's peanut butter, and out of all of them, I prefer the Perfumer's Apprentice one. Some people might not agree, others I know love it too. I've just found that, to me, it had the most realistic straight-up peanut butter taste, where the Cabela's was a little bit too sweet for me. So that's just like this one is kind of in between the Cabela's and the Perfumer's Apprentice. It's sweet, but it's not as sweet as Cabela's, and it's peanut buttery, but to me, and I could just not have the percentage right yet, so I'm still messing with it, but I don't know. So far my favorite's still the Perfumer's Apprentice, which I'm actually out of the peanut butter. Anyway, the next line is from FlavourArt, and these are also super like concentrated flavors. These I got from My Freedom Smokes, which is, this is their card. And I've actually purchased from My Freedom Smokes several times, never had any issues, and I would recommend them. They ship quickly, all the stuff comes the way it's supposed to, there's nothing missing or damaged, in my experience. Never had faulty equipment. Like, I've bought atomizers from them. I believe my first vaping device was from them. It was just like a 510 cheapo whatever type device. And even though, you know, I wish I would have known about the egos back then, you know, it was still a decent device. So anyway, I got some FlavourArt flavors from them. First of which is the Vaping Wizard, the MTS Vape Wizard. This is an additive that you add from 0.5 to 1%. Some people go as high as 2. I wouldn't recommend it personally, but it is not a standalone flavor. This is 10 mils. It is supposed to be added to tobacco type blends, like cigars, tobaccos, shisha, probably, hookah, any kind of like smoking type flavor. It's supposed to take away, I guess, some of the bitterness of it. If it's a little bit too harsh, it's supposed to smooth it out. It's basically supposed to be like all that good additives all in one. Because like Smooth is also a flavor you can get from Perfumer's Apprentice that's supposed to smooth out your e-liquid. Bitter Wizard is supposed to help with any bitterness it has. I think it's called Magic Mask. It's supposed to do something that's like all incorporated into this one liquid. And so far, I really like it. The only thing is, I would use it in very small amounts. I would definitely start at the 0.5 percentage, which is half of 1%, because you don't need that much. And if you don't need that much, there's no point of using more than you need. And to me, and it could just be me being weird, but if I add too much of this, I detect the flavor that I don't like. And I want to say it's culotta. I'm not sure if they have culotta added into it, but it has a culotta type taste if you use too much. So I don't know if that's another thing they add to it. I don't know. Culotta I like, but I don't like a lot of it, depending on especially what it's mixed with. So I don't know. Use it in very small amounts, basically. Second one is Mellow Sunset, which is supposed to be like dark vapor, I believe, but a more muted flavor, like, because I guess dark vape here is very strong, and this is supposed to be a little bit weaker of a version of that. So far, the test batch I made with it is foul. I hate it. It's probably the worst flavoring I've ever tried. To me, it tastes like stale something. I'm not sure what. I haven't figured it out yet. But my friend Allie kind of gave me the best description that I could think of so far. And basically, it tastes like stale chips and salsa. And I don't know if it's supposed to taste like that. The reviews I've seen have said nothing about it, so I'm guessing it's not. It has been sitting for probably a good week now. Hasn't improved. I've tried it at 2%, which is what they recommend most of these flavors to start at, which the next one I'm going to tell you about, I actually did at 1%, and that's where I prefer it. But I've done it at 1 and 2%, and I don't like either one of them. It just has a really strange flavor. I mean, I'm going to let it sit. I'm not going to throw it away. And it could just be a blender flavor. I don't know. But so far, don't like it. The last one is Royal. And this I got in a whim because it was $2.99. It was the cheapest out of all the flavors, I think. Other ones are $5.99, but you get 10 mils, and you only use 1 to 2% of these, so it's definitely a good deal. And I've heard FlavourArt in general is a really good brand, which I do plan on trying some of their fruits and stuff, because I heard they have really good fruit flavors. But problem is they're sold out most of the time. It's really hard to describe. It's very light tobacco. Like the tobacco is definitely not as pronounced as for, say, like Parliament. I don't know, it's refreshing. Like, honestly, it's been my all-day vape since I got it, which was, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. 5/19, which is when I made all the, no, I got these later. 5/29, so like last week, probably. I don't know, it's nice and refreshing, and it's almost got a, and I don't want to say this off-putting because a lot of people don't like pine, at least not to vape it, but it does have a pine-like flavor, like where it's like that fresh, like how pine is fresh. That's what it's like. I don't know. I don't know. It's just really good. And I mean, for $2.99 for 10 mils of, I mean, I seriously use it at 1%. I actually tried it at 2% because that's what it's recommended at by most people. But I found that I liked it the best at 1%. And hey, if you prefer something in a less amount, you might as well do it at the less amount, because, I mean, this, like, look, you can't even tell that I've used it. Like, this 10 mil, or no, that's Mellow Sunset. But, I mean, same deal. You can't tell I really even used it. And this is 10 mils. That will last me, like, forever. So, basically, out of all of these flavorings, my favorite is Royal, which is, this is what the finished product is. It's, you know, my own creation, whatever. Like, roughly 60-40 VG to PG ratio. I don't use nicotine, just something to note. Second would be Cigar flavoring from VapingZone. And then the third would be the Parliament. And then I'm not going to get into all the other ones. And then the worst, by far, is Mellow Sunset from FlavourArt. So it just goes to show you that the same brand is the best and then the worst. This depends on your, you know, taste and preference. Like, some people, I'm sure, and I've read it, love the Mellow Sunset. I personally, so far, think it tastes like stale chips and salsa, which personally doesn't appeal to me, but I'm sure other people describe it as something completely different, so it could just be me. I don't know. But the Royal, I haven't read a bad review on it, and it's cheap. It's $2.99 for 10 mils of product. Can't beat that. So anyway, if you have any questions, put them below. I am actually going to be doing a review on this Phoenix style rebuildable atomizer from my Vaping Zone soon.